In this video, I will share a little bit more about me and how I got into sailboat travel. Now, for more than 15 years, I've been living a rather minimalistic, nomadic life in, on, and near the sea. I'm 37 now. Shh. For years, I traveled with the backpack. I'm filming this from my van, which is my first house and my first car. And for years, I've been traveling by sailboat, mostly on other people's sailing boats. I'm born and raised in the Netherlands. You may have heard my accent. I cannot get rid of that. And at the end of my teenage years, that curiosity and urge to explore the world grew. And there I went. And since I never really settled down. And during all those years of slow traveling and nomading the world, there always has been one constant, the call of the ocean. My adventures have always been around the ocean, and I got into all the ocean sports, from diving to surfing to freediving to kite surfing. I just had to move to the sea. But I had no idea about sailing. I thought sailing was for rich people or if you grow up sailing. How to get into that? I've always been a water person. I'm an Aquarius. It's my Chinese sign. But I never really moved to the sea. But besides navigating the inflatable rubber boat that we took on the family holidays, I had no idea about boats or sailing. And I had no idea how to get into it. But I was so curious. It was during an internship in Mauritius, best job in the world, but that's another story, that I saw a sleeping cabin on a sailboat for the first time. And I thought, wow, how amazing if you could sleep there and wake up on the water, go out of bed, jump in the water, and just arrive to another island with the sails. And then that seed was planted of, wow, one day I have to experience this. And that thought did not leave my mind. Then later, on another adventure, when I was living and learning English, my English was really bad, and working in Australia, I started digging into the sailing thing more. I went to harbours, and sometimes there on a Sunday you could tag along and be on a sailboat. That was an amazing thing. And also there I discovered a website called Gumtree. And on that I found that people put their adventures on there and you could go sailing with them. Because I wanted to go sailing, but I didn't want to go on a touristy trip, navigating the islands on like a standard route. I wanted to learn from the people living on boats. That's when I had my first overnight sailing adventure. I got terribly seasick. But then, the next day, waking up on an anchorage where there's no one else around, you could jump in the sea first thing in the morning, then I was, wow, yeah, this is amazing, I am sold. And that's when the seed was planted to one day I sail around the world. It was truly amazing. And that's when my enthusiasm about it grew. I was so curious to learn more about this nomadic lifestyle of living on a sailboat and exploring the world in this way. And learning from the nomads that actually cross oceans and sail around the world. Then my next adventure was sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. I figured if I can sail an ocean and then I still like it, I can continue chasing this dream of sailing around the world. This is not the way how I would recommend doing it. My sailing experience at the time was still quite neglectable, and I had no idea what to look out for in a boat, in a captain. And offshore sailing is a serious thing. Anyways, after that first Atlantic crossing, I loved it. And that's basically when I did not stop. And after that, I sailed on dozens and dozens of different sailing boats with different captains in every continent except Antarctica. Offshore sailing, coastal sailing, island hopping, of which some of my most memorable experience is sailing the Greek islands, sailing in Thailand and Malaysia, crisscrossing the Caribbean Sea, and also the Atlantic crossings and the offshore sailings. There's a lot of difference between either sailing islands or coastlines or offshore, and they are equally enriching, interesting, and adventurous, though offshore sailing can probably be a little bit more adventurous. And what I love most about it is that you are going slow, you are outdoors all the time, you are arriving, discovering new places with the power of the wind. So many memorable moments in each day when you're on a sailboat. It's a very special thing. Then after a couple of years of crewing on other people's boat, I felt ready to be a captain. So I decided to take the Yachtmaster Offshore exam, which I also don't recommend doing that one right away, but I passed. And then after I could take people sailing, because if it's one thing that I often missed and struggled with while sailing on other people's boats, it's finding that like-minded connection, finding the cool boats, the adventurous boats, the boats also with a big heart for the ocean and eager to make the most out of the day by exploring, giving back, and make the most out of it. All my ocean experience, but especially the sailing experience, grew my heart for the ocean. I already had a big heart for nature and the ocean, but it's especially the sailing that opened up my eyes and worldview to the people that I've met, but also the things you see with your own eyes. If you are in a remote island or in the middle of the Atlantic, and there you see plastic floating by, or in Asia, whole fleets of fishing boats emptying the sea. Seeing these things with your own eyes really triggers. And for me, that's also a big drive of creating this course to hopefully help you grow your heart for nature, your heart for the ocean, and that will ignite the fire and the spark within you to also do something about it accordingly. We are super privileged if we can live this kind of adventures. We have a passport, we can get out there and explore the world. And it's therefore also our responsibility to do something, to give something back with the powers that we all have within us. So now it's your turn to get started, to get out there.